You're listening to a Countout Podcast. What it is, what's up, and welcome everybody. I am your bad friend Rafe Houston, one half of the IWGP International Wrestling Grand Prix Okada Shorts. Thanks for tuning in to this early Sunday morning edition. Another Okada Shorts short, bite-sized episode for every single night of the G1 Climax. That's right, it is G-Wondering 2023. Hashtag G-Wondering. Use that shit. I'm keeping it together. I had a pretty big night last night. Behaved myself, but it was a late one. But it was back-to-back with a couple of things. So on Friday night, Dude, Where's My Ring? The no-ring wrestling show that I work with and do commentary for, had a huge night at Seasonal Brewing, a sold-out night at Seasonal Brewing. So that was heaps and heaps of fun. Ended up being out quite late. Pulled our shit together and then went out last night to see Pierce the Veil, Beartooth, and Dayseeker in Fremantle, which is pretty far from me. Normally, I wouldn't go that far, but hey, I wanted to catch those bands. And, man, had a wicked time. I was more there for Beartooth. I wasn't really familiar with Pierce the Veil. And when we were looking at their history afterwards, they came out in 2006, and I was a real tough metal boy at that point. So it doesn't surprise me I wasn't into them. But, dude, they really won me over in that show. There was such a great vibe. Like, it was a really good night. So glad I went. Apologies for if my voice is sounding a bit cooked, but we're going to keep on rolling and let you know what is happening in the G1. So we are up to, if I remember correctly, this is night 5. Is it night 5, Rafe? Who fucking knows? Because we've done a million of these. What was it? Yeah, it was night 5. Curtis did night 4 previously. So night 5, how am I feeling about the tournament so far? I'm pretty positive about it. I think, like I said, I don't think there's been any like groundbreaking super G1 classics yet, but we're only in the early stages. I think we'll definitely see those in like the finals and things like that, but there'll definitely be some standouts, that's for sure. Big shout out to the match with Hanare and Shingo. If those two, like, there's few people on that roster that work as well together as those two, and to see my boy Hanare get the win there, I was really pumped to see that. So yeah, that was really awesome. But the floor of this tournament, high floors, high ceilings. That's what it is. It'd be awkward to get in and out of this tournament if it was a house. You'd be climbing up a lot of stairs to get to the first floor. But, man, you'd be having a good time once you got there. So let's break it down real quick. It was kicking off with your boy Yoshihashi versus Tangaloa. Now, once again, this is another example of Yoshihashi starting out, coming to the ring, looking awkward as fuck, and then by the end, me being all about him. He just keeps winning me over every match. I don't know how he manages to, like, do it every single time, because there's a lot about him that is antithesizes everything I don't like about a wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of want your wrestlers to be larger than life characters and all these kind of things, and personality and all that. But in the ring, in New Japan, there's a few people that can kind of like do that baby phase, end sequence, and make sure everybody's with him by the end, quite like him. And to be honest, I think he gave Tunkaloa like his best match ever that I have ever seen, that I can ever think of enjoying. And that includes all his tag work and things like that, definitely singles. But I thought he brought a real good match out of Tunkaloa here. Tunkaloa had popped off the shirt. That probably didn't help. Man meat exposed for everybody. But I had a really good time with this. So I was happy to see Yoshihashi get the win here. And he's making a quiet little run here, which is pretty great for him, I think. After that, I was barked at by a small dog who has a treat full of carrots and should just be throwing that around and keeping to herself. But she does not seem to be doing that. Anyway, we will keep on running. Next up was Ren Narita versus Gabe Kidd. I think the story here of the LA Dojo explodes would play out best between these two. And it definitely did, you know. Narita obviously expected the run-in from Gabe Kidd, but then once they got it up and going, it was a really hard-fought contest, and I thought it made sense that Kidd would be the one to get the win here, especially with all the shouting out he's been doing of Shibata on social media for so long, and it was no different after he won this match as well. I don't think the War Dogs are necessarily going to get heaps of wins in these blocks, but I love that he was a thorn in the side of Narita, where he may not be as much for, say, an Umino or a Tsuji, because he trained with Narita, he knows him best. And I really like how this is all playing out between the Musketeers and the other young wrestlers, and who can get wins over who and who draws with who and things like that. The math in this block has been really, really interesting. Okay. All right. You want to have a look at there? Sabotage already by the dog. Should be grateful for the carrots, but is not. So, yeah, Gabe picks up the win and talks a bunch of shit to Shibata afterwards. Next up was El Phantasmo versus Great Khan. Again, another one where I started to feel as this started that it was probably going to go the way of Okan, because I think ELP's story here is a bit of a losing streak, and it's can he pull it together by the end, or is he on such a downturn in his career that he needs to find something else, you know, in the aftermath of the G1. But a fun match, special mention to the fact that everybody knows that Okada's a bit of a freak, and ELP pulls out the nipple twisters on him, and he just like absolutely loves it, and then he's like biting ELP on his nipples and stuff. Just lends into his character and was a lot of fun. But as far he may not be picking up wins, but ELP's a shining star in this contest, and it was nice to see Okan come back and show a bunch of personality, where his last match was against Kenta, and it was void of anything good to do with wrestling. This was a lot of fun. Next up after that was Hikuleo versus Chase Owens. Again, this was a fun match, and I really enjoyed Hikuleo in this match. I started to feel like Chase was a great foil for him. I started to see emotion on his face. Chase using every trick in the book to overcome somebody he knew that would be really dangerous to him. And Chase getting out the win. I think at the start of this, I know at the start of this, everybody sort of rolled their eyes at Chase Owens being in this block, like he didn't fit. But I feel like he can do his best work in this block, because he can realistically get wins as like a crafty veteran, but at the same time, he can also help these guys look their best. And that's exactly what he's doing. I feel like when you think about Hikuleo matches, I think the Jay White match was his best, and then this was probably second best. The Sonata match was okay. The Gabe Kidd one was pretty fun, but, there was a part where he dropped Gabe on his neck, so I don't know about that. But, yeah, he seems to really be doing his best work when he's got somebody to sort of lead him through it with a steady hand, and that's exactly what this was. Um, I wonder, I like the creativity from Chase here, with the knee brace, tried and tested, old school kind of wrestling cheat. I wonder if we'll see that again, or that was a one-off for that. He was doing like jumping jacks and shit afterwards. So I feel like that is blown, but I wonder if he's got any more tricks up his sleeves for some of the other rookies. Next up, speaking of people that had their best matches that I've seen in quite some time, it was Will Ospreay versus Kenta. And man, Will can make anybody look good, and this is one of Kenta's best matches, probably since the Wrestle Kingdom against Tanahashi when he got really injured, when the ladder spot and all that, and he was out for quite a while. This is the best he looked. Will can take your strengths and hide your weaknesses and can bump everywhere like crazy, and the story being told between them was great. The competitiveness between the two champions, really enjoyed it. There was one part where I'm trying to remember exactly how it went, but it was almost like a spinning DDT where Kenta was above Will, and Will spins him around and then drops him on the other side of the ropes, onto the apron. And it was just so smooth. I couldn't believe Kenta had landed it and pulled it off. It looked really great. But yeah, Will wins. He was talking mad shit afterwards. I don't know if that's setting up a Defy match or whatever, but it was a real good look for Will and an even better look for Kenta. I feel like he needed that. Some of the strike exchanges and stuff were so stiff. I'm sure all those people that care about, old school Noah Kenta would have been literally loving that sort of stuff. So I'm not one of them. I don't really care. I've been told I need to go back and watch it, and I've honestly meant to, but how could I when I'm constantly doing podcast for every night of the G1. So where would that time ever live in my life as I slowly lose my mind? Next up was Shota Umino versus Kaito Kiyomiya. Now, I have Shota in my little team of wrestlers, and I was really hoping that of the Musketeers, that Umino would be the one to pull out the win over Kiyomiya. I thought of the three of them, it made sense that it would be him. But I love that these guys were so tied up. And when you think about it, you look at Kaito and you see another young guy and you're like, oh, he's, on the level of the Musketeers or the other young guys. But he's not though, is he? He has a lot more experience. He's been a Noah world champion. He's got that ring test experience. So it kind of doesn't really make sense for him to, be losing to these guys and stuff all the time. And I'm sure Noah wouldn't love that either. But also these are the future of New Japan. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see the draw to Tsuji, the win over Tsuji, the draw to Shota, and then maybe a loss to Narita in a bit of an upset, he's got his number. He's the harder hitting of the three, the more shooter type guy. And whereas Kaito's more like the flashy pro wrestler guy. So I'm going to have that one circled, as I'll be really interested to see what happens with them. But it was a great match. I loved the fighting spirit from both guys. The figure four leg lock with Kanemaru nodding along on commentary approvingly. You really felt like he was going to go, even with 30 seconds to go and stuff. You thought, oh, this is probably a wrap, because the selling and stuff was so fun. Really enjoyed this match. I thought it was awesome. Okada versus Tai Chi was up next. These two, always killer. Tai Chi's become so good. If you went back in time and you told me that started watching wrestling, the wrestling of New Japan, is the words I'm trying to say, that Tai Chi would go on to become who he is and be a part of a faction like he is and hold a title like he is and be head-to-head to Okada, I don't know if I would have believed you as far as him being able to deliver it, but I will tell you that if you go back to the very, very first episode that I ever did of any podcast, Faces and Feels, episode 1, it's called, what is it called? How to Get into New Japan? Something like that. Jesus, we've gone back years now, people. Okay. Let's take a trip down memory lane real quick and see what the title of that episode was. Wow. There's a lot of episodes in my feed. Where to start with New Japan? You think I'd know it, but this was in 2020. September 2020. So we're talking nearly 3 years ago. I can't remember matches from fucking 2 days ago. So that's not all the way surprising. And mate, there's, Jesus, 158 episodes in that feed. So get off my dick about it. Anyway, where to start with New Japan? One of the things that I said, it was just me vamping about New Japan because I really, really liked it and had barely anybody to speak to it about. And I talked about like the long-term storytelling of New Japan. And I referenced this particular moment, and it was one of my favorite moments. It's Suzuki Gun have returned to New Japan, and they attack Okada, and it leads to a title match between Okada and Suzuki. Now, Suzuki Gun have made their entrance. They're all around the ring. Suzuki's in the ring. Okada comes out. It's Rainmaker Okada. It's the gold. It's the purple. It's the red. It's the big flashy entrance. It's the money, all that. As he walks to the bottom of the ramp, Tai Chi stands in his way, and it's smirking, henchman Tai Chi, greasy Tai Chi, just like, grinning at him kind of thing. And Okada just stops opposite him. He looks him up and down, and then just walks around him like he's nothing. And Tai Chi gets this look over his face like, this motherfucker. And then you see them now in these huge matches against each other, and where he's come to, like, it's like the antithesis of who Tai Chi has become was almost born in that moment, because that's when he went from being like just a scummy little fuck to being like, I can't be treated this way, and I'll show this motherfucker, and I love that. He's become such a warrior, and yeah, Okada manages to get the win. And dude, he's been so dominant in this tournament, which is not surprising. But as he starts to stack up the wins at the start, you start to feel like they talk about that three-peat a lot. Is Okada going to do it? Now, if Okada does get the win, do we see the Never Trios Championships just go back on ice? Like, it's happened before. Like, hey guys, we're going to put him in that world title picture, but he's still got that Never title. They're like, just put it in the cupboard. Let's not talk about it for a year. And then it just pops up at some point. So I wonder if we see those titles go on ice, or whether this is just, really showing how dangerous Okada is, gets out of the block, and realistically then maybe gets knocked out by a Kiyomiya or something like that. And then that heads him on the path to the rivalry or big match with Kiyomiya, but not in the finals of this tournament. Either way, I'm very, very interested to see where that goes. And then last was Sonata versus Yota Tsuji, winning with Deadfall. Again, a really great match from these two. They work really well together, and it just felt like a continuation of their match. To be honest, I thought Tsuji was going to get the win here. I thought he was going to set himself up a rematch and kind of balance them out, but it wasn't to be. Tsuji stung a little bit slower than I thought from him in this contest. I thought he'd be a lot more dominant, but I mean, I guess we didn't really have much to go by. We had, his huge match against Sonata, which was really, really well fought, and then it's been, tags and stuff. So in a G1, people can take losses and do things, and it doesn't really harm their overall record. So I was really confident he'd get out of this block, though. So he might go on a run at the end, but I'm not sure that's going to happen now. Anyway, I'm shaken in my faith in Tsuji to get out of this one into the finals now. I think we're going to see, I think, really dominant from Sonata here. Maybe one loss, something like that, like to set up a future title challenger, and that might be it for him. Final thoughts for the night, though. It was if I was going to give it a rating out of pants or shorts, I would give it a shorts. This was a really fun night and really enjoyable. I would encourage you to check this one out. No real duds tonight. I think everything was really good. Okay, let's run down the pick'ems real quick for everybody. Current standings are Travis on 7, Curtis and myself tied up on 10, and then Amy squeaking us out on 11. So there you go, my lovely wife in the lead. Curtis and I drawed, and Travis bring it up the rear. But there are some good matches to be found in the coming weeks. Let's just have a quick look over here at the schedule. It'll be happening tonight in Nagano, and your good friend Curtis Spears will be running it down. It's going to be ZSJ versus Alex Coughlin, the Deadeye Dreadnought Alex Coughlin, Tama Tonga versus Mad Mikey Nichols, Hiroki Goto versus Hysterical Shane Haste, Aaron Hanare versus Eddie Kingston, Toru Yano versus Tetsuya Naito, Tomohiro Ishii versus Shingo Takagi, fuck yeah, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Jeff Cobb, and David Finlay versus Evil. There's some great matches here. I mean, Sabre versus Coughlin will be really fun. I'd have that circled. Hanare versus Kingston. Really interested in that one. Shingo and Ishii, always a banger. And the fallout between Finlay and Evil here should be very interesting. What does the House of Torture mean to David Finlay's vision for Bullet Club? Will they address it, or will we never even talk about it? Who knows, but we are gonna find out. Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. That is it from me. I am going to take another drink of this coffee. I just need another sip to even get through these final seconds. Then I'm going to rest up and get ready for the next run of matches, which I think will happen Tuesday, that I'll be covering it. That will be another hectic one recorded at a lunch break live from my van on a fucking Wednesday or something. So check out at Throwing Dice Pod. Check out all Curtis's second show business with Throwing Dice, his wargaming and board game podcast. Check out at Faces Feels Cast, my interview series. I have some very interesting stuff coming up in the future, and fans of Japanese wrestling will be very interested in something I've got coming up in the works. Recorded it yesterday morning, and I am very excited to get that out into the world. If you want to check out our sister podcast, Hot Friends, as Curtis says, check out at Count Out Network. That's where you can find all of the other shows on the Count Out Network, Your Dose of Death, Ring Post Radio, all of those, and also subscribe to the Patreon. You can check out our secondary show, not secondary, our bonus show. Secondary sounds less than. It's not less than. It's just bonus. Exactly. All caps of Curtis and I just catching up, bit of bro time before we record Okada Shorts and updating you on our lives and adventures. If you want to find all these links in one place, just hit Linktree. That's linktr.ee/Okada Shorts, and everything is laid out clean as a whistle for you there to click away to your heart's content, even every single episode. So that's going to be it from me. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to Okada Shorts. Make sure you're following us at Okada Shorts, and make sure you comment and use the hashtag GWondering to let us know you're out there listening and we're not driving ourselves to the limits of sanity and exhaustion for no reason. Okay? So until then, keep it right, keep it tight, and most importantly, keep it what? Short.
This has been a Count Out Podcast.
So, Curtis.
Yeah, man.
Count Out said we've got to do an ad. I've never done one before. What should we do?
I have no idea, bro. I never made an ad before. What are we doing an ad for?
I don't know. We just say we're like a New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast, and we just put a bunch of clips like here.
Arguably the most shredded guy. So if you really want to get there too.
Maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Heard that here. Michael Richards calling Jay White small. compared to him.
Here,
I love it. This picture you've painted for me. I want to hang it up. I want to frame it and hang it up in my bedroom.
here,
We don't have a WWE tryout or a New Japan tryout every second week. And now I'm in Bullet Club.
and here.
Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega. Do you want to just go off about this match?
How do you take or talk about one of, I think, probably the best matches you've ever seen?
That's an ad, right?
Yeah, that works. That's brilliant because then all our work's already been done for us and we don't have to do anything.
Aha, past us did it. Present us living in the now.
Look at us.
Look
Look
at
at
that.
us being friggin' brilliant.
Mate, minimum effort, maximum output. Okada Shorts podcast. Check it out on the Count Out Network at Okada Shorts. Rate and subscribe, listen or die.